Geek Tank Radio, News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Welcome, everyone. We are the Geek Patrol, and our microphones don't have a stun setting. Today, we are broadcasting live from the fake judges booth that Allan and Brandon set up for the non-existent cannoli baking contest at the 31st Annual Memphis Italian Fest.
Why would you tell people that on the radio?
We were doing good.
We need to uncover this hoax, you guys.
You're such a jerk.
I'm going to give him a prize.
Okay.
There might even
Max,
be cash involved.
Max, cut his mic. He's not allowed to play anymore.
I'm just going to cut
welcome
all of
to-
your guys' mic.
It's going to happen one of these days. Anyway, welcome to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson, here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbreth and our buddy Max behind the glass. Well, really, Max back at the studio. We are on location, if you can hear. If you listened all morning, you know that News Talk 98.9 The Roar has been on the road today. We did Tool Talk, Allan. You and I kicked it off. We had the racing report. Then Bud and Ditch were out here signing autographs. They had a huge autograph line in between, during the commercial breaks for the motor mouths. So
That was not an autograph. They were getting people to,
that was a subpoena.
Yeah. I think Bud got served.
Yeah. Anyway, but so guys, we're out here at like I said, it's the 31st annual over here at Marquette Park in East Memphis. You really could not have had a better day. We're at the corner of Park and Colonial, and it is just, man, it's early. Now, this place really comes to life after about 2 or 3, but there's already a nice crowd rolling in.
It's got a really good breeze going on, which is beneficial for any summer day.
Yeah.
But it's not great when you are downwind from all the people in the cooking contest here, because it just makes you want to drool.
It's torture.
And drooling on the mic is a bad thing.
Yeah, it is. It's rough, man. So, but we're here, and we'd love to see you. We're going to be at the booth most of the day, and we've got some little goodies to give away, and we're promoting the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention, of course.
Well, yeah, because
let's face it, we're not going to miss that. So.
It's our bread and butter, dude.
Yep. So we'll have we've got postcards, we've got our dates. Of course, we have Adasa, who plays the voice of Dolores from Encanto. It's all these one-word descriptions. It's weird. Yeah, Adasa, Encanto, Dolores, whatever. Yeah. So, but also
you can call her Dolores Madrigal.
She's one of the vocalists for the earworm of the century. That literally it took me 3 weeks to get that song out of my head.
We don't talk about Bruno.
Right. You don't want to talk about Bruno?
I'm kind of done talking about Bruno.
Okay. You sure you don't want to talk about Bruno?
And I just want to let you guys know, anybody who comes out here looking for us, we are super easy to find. We are between the Lost and Found and the First Aid Tent. And the Shelby
either
County,
you're lost or bleeding.
The Shelby County Sheriff's Department's volunteers guys are out here in bright green.
You can't miss them. And honestly, awesome. I think they did this on purpose because Brandon has this habit. Anytime we go to a festival like this or a convention, he sets up a fake Lost and Found booth.
Well,
they're not going to let you do that
this
weekend.
It's not fake. People turn things in. If nobody shows up to find them, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah,
you got to give those lightsabers a good home.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
So, hey guys,
speaking of lightsabers,
we're going to jump into it in a second. We can't fail to talk about Kenobi. We're 3 episodes in. It's going to be spoiler filled. So, folks, if you don't want spoilers, take a break. But also, the Orville launched. They've got 2 episodes out. Brandon and I saw one.
I saw the first one.
Okay, so we both saw one. So we're going to get into that a little bit of a spoiler discussion. I just want to mention something though, because this is Allan. This may jump over to Tool Talk territory, but one of the things that's cool about the Italian festival, there's some select booths where you can actually meet these are artists.
Right.
This is this stuff makes me very patriotic because I'm like, this is what America's all about. You have a product or you make something and you come and sell it directly to the public. Well, that's what they're doing. There's 3 ladies I met. It's called Ideas Run Amok. You saw this beautiful American flag that I got. Yeah. It's a wood. It's really impressive, but I'd like to maybe think about getting them on Tool Talk Radio. These are all female woodworkers.
I'm a big fan of the idea of talking to them about a artist table at MCFC.
Yeah, ladies, if you're listening, we might want to talk to you about getting you to the convention.
Because
you
have to
make
work
some geek
awesome.
items. Teresa, Rose, and Randy, good stuff. So, but that's the kind of thing. And there's many other vendors here. And then
there's a lot going on, y'all.
There's a lot going on.
No,
so
and I can't say all their names here because there's so many different ones. The punnage involved in the team names for the people out here for the competitions.
Let's just say it's an Italian festival and they've really leaned into some of the stereotypes.
Like Frankie Four Fingers Familia.
Yeah.
If you
Which
have
is the one we can see from here.
Yeah, if you have a low tolerance for dad jokes, you may not do well.
Oh.
Yeah.
This is like
It's like
a target-enriched dad joke zone.
I've been working with Joe for years, and this was all preparation for this.
Yes.
Yeah, for this moment, honestly. So it's going to be fun. It's going on all night, all day, up and well into the night. There's going to be live music. It's going to be a good time, and you really couldn't have had better weather. Like
and
you said.
I want to go ahead and throw this out here for anybody who does want to come see us. They are also giving away a 2022 Chevy Equinox.
Yes, they
are. Bud and Ditch were talking about that just a little while ago on Motormouth. We are right next to this thing, and I want to buy a ticket.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to raffle for it.
I heard Max, didn't you buy some tickets for this?
I did indeed.
Yeah, Max is a gambler. You wouldn't think so.
I don't consider raffles a gamble
No.
because all the money goes to a good cause.
Yep. Hey, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but one thing later in the show with D-Day coming up, Max had an interesting deep cut that he was going to, or do we call it deep cuts here?
We can call it deep cuts because it's still Maximilian.
Okay, so later in the show, Max, cue that up. We'll be talking to you about that. It sounds like an interesting story, but guys, we'd be remiss if we didn't just start talking about Kenobi,
Right.
which, well, like we said, folks, spoiler warning, we are going to deal in spoilers.
Yeah,
We're 3 episodes in.
All right, everybody out there, go dust off your batteries, not toys,
Yeah.
because they're back. You paint them like ladybugs, and
Yeah.
the thing is, with the way technology's advanced, I mean, we got little BB-8s that actually roll around and do what their little stuff is. I'm wondering, I'm just kind of like, are they going to put like a little drone motor in this thing and have it float?
Oh, there's going to be at least somebody putting out.
Somebody's going to do that, because
One of the development teams at Hasbro Pulse is probably working on that as we speak.
Yeah.
It's got to be done.
The
'cause
ladybug
it's just too cute.
droid.
It's too cute.
LOLA 45, nicknamed Lola,
Yep.
has helped a certain individual take the top spot as far as Star Wars children. I'm sorry, Grogu fans, it's over.
Wars
Leia
Wars
is so
cute,
much
man.
cuter.
Well, I was going to ask you.
And she's not green. And she hasn't eaten a frog yet.
Yeah.
I fully expected to see Leia at some point. I thought we'd see her off in the distance, or she
No,
might do a cameo.
no,
I didn't know
no.
she was going to be so heavily featured in the show.
Nobody did, and I mean it's you got to give it up for all the production team and Deborah Chow especially, because she's show running Obi-Wan. This is just they've knocked it out of the park with every one of the series that they've done so far for Star Wars. Getting something in there that gets you super excited.
Well, what I come to feel the more we watch all of these spin-off shows and these movies is just what a big universe Star Wars is, because even now we even with just all the shows we've had, all the animateds and everything, they keep bringing new things to us. They just keep showing us new surprises, and I actually care, and I always love the different eras they bring us, because I mean right now Vader is, he's still kind of young.
Yeah.
He's not, and we're seeing the PTSD that Obi-Wan Kenobi has. So,
All right,
I mean,
And Vader's still pretty miffed about everything.
Yeah,
Right,
He is not.
Well,
Wow.
I don't normally get into the expanded universe legend stuff, but one of the things that happened just after Revenge of the Sith, one of the first books talks about how Palpatine basically handicapped Anakin even more with the robotics he used. Anakin rebuilds all the parts that were added to him.
because he's a master at that.
Right,
That's
and we see him get outfitted with his eventual definite, suit. And that suit-up scene at the beginning of Episode 3 is, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I
didn't know he had those things in his spine and in his back. It makes sense, but I never saw that.
Spoiler alert.
So, but I mean,
Spoiler alert.
You're a little late with
Spoiler.
that.
I just felt like
but
playing
yeah,
it.
seeing and the idea that it's Hayden in the suit.
See, that's what I wonder. Is he doing everything?
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
that's what's fun.
He was, he got to be in the suit for all of 4 minutes of footage in Revenge of the Sith.
Right.
Almost 20 years ago.
Yeah. They lift him up on the table. He yells, and that's pretty much it. So yeah. But what I was curious though, because at first, okay, Obi-Wan, I'm like, come on, man, get up, but then I was thinking about it. He would have post-traumatic stress. He's living in the desert, which is I can't imagine.
He's living
in a cave.
He's living a
cutting
recluse
whale meat
lifestyle.
every day.
He is not.
He's
hasn't
not training.
He hasn't lifted his lightsaber since he got to Tatooine. He had buried it out in the sand. This was, and it was just seeing him visually scared.
Right.
Ewan McGregor nails the "oh my goodness, I may die here in a minute" moments with his facial expressions.
Well, I love. I actually grew to like. Okay, I think they're playing it the right way by making him stressed out and making him traumatized and everything. Yeah. I love that thing though when Leia was asking how the Force works and what is it like, and he basically described what's it like when you're in the dark and then somebody turns the lights on.
Right.
I never heard it described like that. That is really an interesting thing to think about.
And can we say that the actress who's playing Leia, who I don't have all my notes here at the Italian Fest, so I can't tell you her name right off the bat, and that actress she has the mannerisms of a young Carrie Fisher, but in that scene when she's asking him about the Force,
right,
and she's sitting back, she looks so grown up just in the mannerisms and everything, and you're just like, you can see Natalie Portman's Padme in there too.
Yeah, he keeps noticing.
Yeah,
it.
and it's.
But
whatever casting agent found this little girl, I know she was in Bird Box, but you guys nailed it.
Yeah, but they're giving people clever things to say. Like, I love when her cousin is like, "You're not a real Organa. You're not such the snobby whatever," and she just puts that kid in his place. She looks at him for about 2 seconds. Totally rips him a new one without even breaking a sweat.
She's
and everything.
very pleasant.
I love that. They're going to make her apologize to him because he went and ran and cried to his daddy.
Right. I love that. But one small thing, I'm convinced that somebody over there at Lucas is listening to Geek Tank Radio because we talked. She was saying thank you to the droids.
Right.
Remember, we had that discussion about a year ago about should we start being polite to our AI and everything like that. So that's a little whatever. But
I think I brought that up
back
then.
But let's take that insignificant little scene.
Yeah.
And let's pretend that's a Peter Pettigrew rat.
Oh.
All right. She's polite to droids.
That may pay off.
She is polite to droids.
It did pay off with Ned.
Now
the loader droid.
Right. Ned came to the rescue.
All right. So I'm going to throw out my prediction.
Okay.
Is that her being nice to droids is going to be a massive plot twist, possibly as soon as the next episode.
Well, it totally fills in the whole leaving the message with R2-D2 and help me Obi-Wan.
Yeah, it completes the cycle.
But I think you're probably right, Allan.
But all right,
and honestly, it's a familial trait because
her father was really good with droids.
He created
C-3PO.
But at the same time, Padme is one of the only people in the original trilogy who is nice to C-3PO.
Yes, she treats him like an individual.
Yeah. That is, I like that subtlety because I will admit when she said something about making me float or something, and then 2 minutes later Obi-Wan, I saw that coming.
Yeah.
But there's some things here, like I think Alan's right. There's going to be some little there's going to be some plot device where it comes back to that.
I have learned over the years when you get just that weird little character quirk, expect that to be the major something within an episode of 2.
You know what else too?
Because they're already in trouble, right? Yeah. I mean, we're episode 3, so we know episode 3 out of 6.
Vader,
you got to be in trouble.
Vader brought Obi-Wan to the cookout.
Right.
It didn't go well.
That was brutal.
Reva is basically got Leia.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That was my question. We haven't even touched on her. Okay.
She's so
Reva.
Cool.
Now, this is a big spoiler. This is a big prediction, whatever. But I was talking to Max the other day, and he was watching that first episode, in which, by the way, that first scene in the first episode of Obi-Wan is one of the coolest scenes I've ever seen during Order 66 in the Jedi Temple.
When the Inquisitors come down and go to the
bar.
Well,
Max was Max, you go ahead. Tell me who you think that little girl was that said we had to run.
Well, you kind of answered the question for me.
All right, sorry, I guess I blew that, but he
Well,
said he thinks that's Reva.
It
And
is.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm
so
gonna-
somewhere she either
No.
saw Vader, got away, or maybe he spared her life
Well,
and whatever.
The
but
thing
I think
about
you're.
I think the thing about the the Inquisitors is they are Jedi who turned on
Right.
there, and then of course they talk about how third sister was found. She was in the sewers. You came to us.
Right.
Well, I mean, I believe Max is right. I think that the young Padawan that you see trying to escape, who says we've got to run, I think that's her.
It makes sense.
And-
but I didn't pick up on that at all. I thought that was
Well, I
pretty
think
clever.
the Inquisitors are the podlings,
Yeah.
the kids.
Well, the
That-
Grand Inquisitor was older than them, but
Well, but I mean, fundamentally, I'm
Yeah.
thinking if you're thinking about where do you get Inquisitors from, you convert the children,
right,
I thought
right.
the
and
Grand
the ones you couldn't convert, you make
But
sushi out of.
I'm
But-
sitting there and I'm thinking about where we could go next. I want to see Cal Kestis show up. I want to see Starkiller show up. There is no reason
Yeah.
why you can't have him show up because he was Vader's secret apprentice.
Right.
And I mean, you tease him at the end of the season because McGregor is already teasing a season 2 for this.
Oh,
well,
they
he's
got
also
it.
Yeah.
teased he's got a brother.
Matt.
We know about that, but I mean, it also gives you that dynamic between the the Jedi and later on the Stormtroopers. Once the clones were no longer being used, Stormtroopers were stolen from their families as youth.
Yeah.
Well,
Obi-Wan
it's
tells
First
you-
Order. Yeah.
Obi-Wan tells you about being taken from his family
Right.
when he's very young.
Hey, Max, what were you saying?
I was just going to say that I thought in the lore the Grand Inquisitor was actually a Jedi temple guard rather than like a youngling. Like if you
very
remember the
interesting.
show Rebels and everything, I thought they touched on that.
He was a Jedi temple guard. That's interesting. So, well, the character too. I love the actress playing Reva. That's her name.
Moses Ingram.
And
Yeah.
I was immediately fascinated with her, even just the way she looks, but her whole approach. She's got way more aggressiveness than like Kylo Ren. I mean, I don't know.
There's
She's
an
ambitious.
ambition. There's an
Yeah.
ambition there that like just screams dark side.
What I was
Yeah.
telling Joe one time also is like she kind of reminds me of like she's a fledgling Sith. It kind of makes me think of the personality of a rebellious teenager flexing their freedom. It's like, oh, she's overly aggressive, but once you get to be a more mature Sith, you learn to temper your anger rather than be so, all right, if you don't tell me this man and his family dies.
I mean, it's pretty effective techniques. It reminds me a lot of how the Nazis behaved. I hate to say it. That's how they basically they cut right. She throws a knife at the guy,
Yeah.
and the Jedi is not going to let that happen. I think the way they set it up in the first episode, explaining how they hunt Jedi and the principle and the fact that these guys cannot just sit there while evil is being done. I don't know. I thought it was
Right. Well, they're looking for what we used to call the pie reflex of Americans. Of when we have spies overseas, a lot of countries don't care how something is served to them, the direction.
Oh, yeah.
Americans have this weird quirk of always starting to eat a piece of pie at the point,
I remember you
not
said
the crust.
that. Yeah.
And that is one of those. We're looking at the. All we have to do is make a Jedi have a knee-jerk reaction.
Well, and it's
All right. Well, I'm going to kick the puppy.
Yeah.
Yipe! And the puppy yips, and the one guy in the back that you're like, oh, you got him. That's the
Pretty
Jedi.
brilliant,
Go get
yeah.
him.
And we get to see that to an extreme
Yes.
in Episode 3 when Vader shows up on looking for Obi-Wan. Is he basically decimates those poor villagers?
He was basically just doing that to
He-
flesh him out because he
he was
was
having a
brutal.
bad
He
day.
like broke some
Man, he was
teenager's neck. He was
yeah.
awful. So I want to mention one thing though, because one of the most interesting scenes to me though was that guy Freck, that was a real friendly guy, and he's got the Empire flag on the back, and the way he interacted with the stormtroopers is like, "Hey Freck, how you doing?" Like the everyday mundane, and then he's like, "Nothing wrong with a little order and a little." Like, he was a likable guy, but he was a big supporter of the Empire, and it's like. It's very interesting when you see that stuff. I don't know. It just shows
I mean,
it's not as cut and dry, maybe.
Yeah, it's like when when Leia asks Obi-Wan, it's like I thought the Empire was trying to help us, and he was like, well, some certain people like your dad,
Right.
yes, but
Because he's technically the Empire, right?
right.
Yep.
That's a good
Yeah.
point too. So I don't know, man, but it's great. And honestly, it's not giving me any of that mid whatever you call it, episode 3
I have
slump. I've every one of them.
Well,
have been
you
interesting
got
to me.
you got a major scene that you like anyway, because you don't like it when a Skywalker is whiny, and
Yeah.
now you have had Skywalker scenes, be them Anakin or whoever,
Right.
in which a Skywalker is a dangerous, bad, or at least a very dangerous thing.
Yeah. Or a pretty clever, wisecracking, whatever, daughter.
Well,
Anyway,
yeah.
hey, well, we can't recommend it highly enough. But anyway, hey, this is Geek Tank Radio. We're here live over at the Memphis Italian Fest. Drop by and see us. We're going to take a quick break, then we're going to come back. Max has a deep cut, and then we're going to talk about the Orville Season 3.
Geek Tank Radio.
Those of you who volunteered to be injected with praying mantis DNA, I've got some good news and some bad news. Bad news is we're postponing those tests indefinitely. Good news is we've got a much better test for you, fighting an army of mantis men. Pick up a rifle and follow the yellow line. You'll know when the test starts.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
You know, guys, I've taken that test. Those Mantis men are wimps.
No, hey, I'm chilling with the Mantis men right now.
those
They're
were
helping me
not
do
Mantis
production.
men. Those were Mantis boys.
Yeah. Anyway, welcome back to Geek Tank Radio, everybody.
Wow.
I'm Joe Thorderson. Here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbreth and our buddy Max over there. Back at the studio.
With the
We're
Mantis men.
Yeah. We're broadcasting live from the Memphis Italian Fest, and boy, what a great day. It's we hope you'll come out here, check it out.
Gorgeous, and it smells so good.
Yeah, you'll be tortured by the smells, and you're going to be, you're probably going to overeat. Let's just face it. You're going to get too much. I had a root beer float earlier, Brandon.
Oh,
I did too.
It's
Those
like-
were amazing.
But Max,
Let's see. I've only been through an Italian steak, a Prano pup, a funnel cake, a lasagna, and a cannoli.
Yeah, and
I
it's
was-
not even new. Yeah,
I was promised handmade ravioli at some point. That's what I'm here for.
yeah.
Oh, well, I haven't done handmade ravioli yet.
All right. Well, hey, this isn't the food dude segment. Hey, Max, June 6th is coming up, and you wanted to do a little one of your deep cuts, right?
Yes, except that so I called this to you, Joe, the Bagpiper of Normandy.
Okay.
And so
We're all attention.
all right, so today we're going to talk about the unsung hero of D-Day, or the unsung hero of Sword Beach, and his name was Private Bill Millen of the 101st Special Service Brigade Commandos of Scottish origin, and he
Oh, okay.
and so while other people on the other beaches, such as Omaha, Utah, and Juneau, would have heard the sounds of machine gun fire and artillery, on the lucky people of Sword Beach, amidst their fears, would have heard the sound of bagpipes.
Huh. So what was he doing? What was he in the front, like the front of this action, or where was he playing from?
Why, yes, he was, and let me explain a little bit. So Private
Okay.
Bill Millen, originally, since World War I, since bagpipers were very easy targets, they had created laws to say, no, you ain't going to the front lines. However, he had a very eccentric commanding officer by the name of Simon Fraser. And Simon Fraser was like, oh, no, those are British regulations and everything, boy. We're Scottish, and that doesn't apply to us. And so
They marched to their own tune.
Exactly. He literally marched to his own tune. So the old boyo went up on the front lines and everything, bagpipes ablazing, playing Highland laddies, and it boosted the morale of his fellow commandos.
Well, did the Germans take a shot at him? I mean, it seems
No.
like he'd be a pretty,
They
pretty
thought
easy target.
There were 2 captured snipers, and from the translations, they thought that he had gone insane, and so they didn't bother firing at the boy.
Wait a minute. Now that's interesting. So they thought, like, okay, let's leave that guy alone. He's
It's
just-
bad luck to kill crazy people.
Yeah, that's interesting. That might be a good
Wow.
tactic for like the Navy SEALs or somebody to get a hold of some bagpipes, just march in. But there's something very stirring about the sound of bagpipes, you guys. It I could see how it would motivate you and keep you, strengthen give you courage and everything.
Yeah, I can get behind that.
There's actually
I think it's
There's actually a quote by former Commando Roy Cadman when he described the scene. He said, as we pulled out with Bill Millen playing his bagpipes, all the boats started tooting their hoots and all the men on the decks were cheering. It reminded us of being footballers, i.e. soccer players, playing for England against Germany, coming out of the tunnel onto the pitch where all the crowd cheered as they came out. It helped them realize what they were fighting for.
That's awesome, man. Okay, so Bill, what is his name? Bill Millett?
Private Bill Millen.
You know, the other thing about those Scottish, they really are. And if they can stick it to
I was gonna say, watch
a British guy, no, that's kind
one
of what
sitting
they
next
do.
to you.
Yeah. Well, Allan,
I'm just sitting there smiling.
Alan was nodding as though he knew that story. I'm guessing you've heard that one before.
I might have
Probably at
heard
your
that story.
grandfather's knee, right?
He
So
was probably there.
He was probably. He was the one egging him on. Like.
I bet you won't do it.
Louder, they can't hear you, lad.
Now, you know what's kind of funny? This is just a funny aside, but like, Millen was more concerned about how successful he was going to play because Frazier was a very, like I said, he's a very quirky commanding officer, and he said he was just worried about making sure that he would play well because during one time, Frazier had the audacity to say, "You missed 3 notes there, Piper."
So wait a minute. This commanding officer in the midst of Normandy, he's worried about this guy's finger technique and about whether he misses a couple of notes or whatever.
He wanted to hear that whole song.
No wonder the Scottish people are.
Hey,
Careful.
Careful.
I mean, they are. Anytime you see them portrayed in movies, they are a little off. I mean, sorry, Alan. I know these are your people, but they've got monsters in their lock. They've got whatever, and now in the commanding. I'm amazed by that. In the midst of all the chaos and organizing the troops, he's hung up on.
Hey, if we're gonna do it, let's do it right. You know.
I like how Joe immediately goes to Nessie.
That's pretty good, Max.
He's fairly convinced I let that thing loose.
Oh,
yeah.
He is.
I don't doubt that in the least.
You know what, Max? Though I do even see a geek connection to this, and I don't want to get ahead of ourselves because we got the 4th of July coming up. But when I think of stirring speeches or stirring things like this, I always go back to the Independence Day movie, the speech that the president gives before he jumps in a jet fighter and takes on the aliens. Maybe sometimes that's what's needed. It's not just your skill as a warrior. You need that kick, that extra motivation. So, all right, good job, Max. We appreciate that.
Much
Every time
obliged,
you do,
laddie.
you bring us some of that.
Okay. All right, well, let's shift. We don't want to run out of time before we get to the Orville. And once again, folks, Max, you got the spoiler alert ready? Can we do it at the beginning of the segment now, finally? Max, hotkey. Never mind. He's not listening to us.
It'll happen about halfway through one of your important points.
He doesn't listen. Anyway, but, okay, so.
I just like torturing Joe through the ether.
So, Brandon, it took forever to get season 3 of the Orville. Partly, I guess, when you got COVID running rampant, but also they moved from Fox to Hulu now.
Yep.
Right.
Well, they gave them more money, right?
They did.
They did.
It sure looks impressive.
It was obvious.
And whoever's writing the dialogue for Seth MacFarlane now, kudos, because he's slowly becoming my favorite guy. He's the captain now. He definitely is
He's
grown
the best
into
Captain Kirk we've had in a while.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But Brandon kind of
Now,
ruined. Huh?
It's a lot of fun now because I get to go from watching the Orville and then immediately watching Star Trek: Strange New Worlds,
Yeah.
which are 2 of my favorite Star Trek shows.
Honestly,
in that order.
The Orville is more Star Trek than something. I mean, it's just the thing about the Orville, the texture and the look of the show are great. I want to be on that ship. I like the lighting. I like the design of the ship. I like the crew.
I want to be on that show too.
Yeah.
So guys at the Orville, hook us up, man.
Okay. Well, this is.
We'll be below decks. It's okay.
Right.
I don't think they want you at any deck.
Yeah. All right. Well, Brandon.
Well, no, they have very patient producers. We don't.
Well, Brandon, there wasn't one laugh in this show. This was not the laugh riot that we've grown used to.
No,
this was pretty heavy, in fact.
I mean, well, you're coming back off the beginning throes of the Kylon War. The Federation is rebuilding their ships. They're retrofitting everything. And when you've got a Kylon who's a member of your crew, that can raise some issues.
Well, they tried to wipe them out in their, they remind me a little bit of the Borg in the sense of how there's just no negotiating with them. They're gonna find you and then they're gonna kill you. It's none of this, And you can negotiate with Klingons.
And I know that I'm fixing to pull forth the ultimate wrath of Star Trek fans, but the Kylon are way more efficient than the Borg.
Yeah.
They don't try and assimilate you. They just destroy you.
Right. Yeah. That scene.
We have enough recruits. We're clearing the land.
That scene towards the end of the second season when they find the bones.
Right. Yeah.
Oh.
Pretty hardcore, man.
Yeah.
So,
but this episode was very. There's a lot of PTSD going on. There's a lot of people who are trying to come to terms with Isaac being part of the crew or being reactivated at all.
Right.
And there's just a much darker dynamic to the crew,
right,
than there was before.
Yeah, it's like I said, there wasn't really any jokes, and I wonder going forward, are they gonna be that? Is it gonna continue with that theme?
Yeah.
But I will say, like I said, Seth MacFarlane's character, Captain Ed, what's his last name?
Ed Mercer.
Mercer. I didn't, he wasn't very captain-y at the first episode.
No.
And in fact, his ex-wife was more of a leader, but he's really grown into the role. But I like that they didn't just give it to him. He sort of earned his way up.
And you say there aren't any laughs in this first episode, but Kelly's trying her best to try and get morale back up. And, while her comments aren't really humorous, the idea of her, it's like saying she'll put on a talent show if she has to try and get people back. It's like, when Lamar's been working on the retrofit for like 14 days straight, and she tells Gordon to, take him out and get him wasted tonight.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's an order.
She's trying her best to get everybody back on, on cue, but nobody's there at this point. And we met our new ensign / navigator / whatever she is, Charlie Burke, who is a genius when it comes to 4D. What do they call him?
Four-dimensional geometry.
Four-dimensional geometry.
Yeah. Which she's got a little bit of an attitude. Well, I mean, the thing is, you see everybody's point of view.
Yeah.
Her best friend was killed in the battle against the Kalon. She sacrificed herself to save Charlie, so Charlie really feels indebted and a real hatred for them. She's angry with Isaac because of the fact that he can't feel what they're feeling, so he'll never understand what they're going through. But at the same time, Lamar's the only one who seems to really be like full on. Isaac's my crewmate. Isaac's my buddy. Claire's trying to get back there because she misses her man, but her youngest child is very much there with it, but her oldest child, he's having nightmares. Yeah,
and Gordon doesn't want Isaac to have his second chance. Meanwhile, the only reason he's there is because Ed gave him a second chance. He had washed out. Nobody wanted to work with him at the beginning of the series.
Well, we're going to get to the big, heavy
yes,
the big news of the show.
Let's throw the elephant back in the room.
I'm trying to avoid it, but we can't avoid it. But when it comes down to it, Isaac.
He kills him.
He kills himself.
He's a robot, so I guess he deactivates
Spoiler
himself. But he's been
alert.
told,
there's no spoiler alert.
But
we're waiting on that.
But his logic is very interesting. Now he's a little different than Data because Data says he can't feel emotion, but we know he does. And then in fact, they even at one point gave him an emotion chip. But Isaac is like, okay, I'm very fascinated with the hatred that you all feel towards me and stuff. Like he's studying that human dynamic, but I think there's more. I think he still feels things.
Well, that's the thing. Claire basically yells at him.
Yeah.
Because they have a therapy session at one point, and tells him that what he is experiencing is, the closest he'll ever have to an emotion.
Right.
But it's still something he feels, not something he processes.
But he said, I'm when they finally, spoiler, bring him back to life.
Yeah,
at the end of the
he gets
episode,
reactivated because you can't have the Orville without Isaac.
You don't kill off a popular character.
Yeah.
But he says, well,
we're not Joss Whedon.
I thought it would improve efficiency of the crew. It was nothing to do with the fact that they all hate him and he feels bad. But in the aftermath, there was a lot of real frank discussions about suicide, which, I mean, you don't expect that on the season opener.
I mean, even when the girl who has like nothing but hatred towards the Kalon because of what's going on.
Yeah.
Charlie, she lost her best friend because her best friend sacrificed herself to continue on.
Right.
And she says it's like, I didn't like him, I didn't want him on the ship, but this is not how you handle things like this.
Right. Yeah. I don't know, man. It was good, but one thing we should talk about is the fact that They've definitely to me, the Orville looks different. Is it heavily armored now? I don't know. It looks to me like when they reinforced Voyager with all that armor plating or something.
Well, I think
like they're in a war.
They
they
retrofit the Orville to better stand up to Kaylon attacks.
Right.
Which we had a Kaylon attack in this, and it was, I'm sorry, but the idea that you drop out of Quantum and all of a sudden there's a guy ready to ambush you.
Yeah.
That's gotta suck.
2 seconds later, yeah. And then the what is the little that they were testing the single pilot fighter?
Their fighter.
That thing was.
That thing
I've never
is
seen
awesome.
something that maneuverable. That's going to play a role.
Oh
obviously.
Yeah.
And Gordon's, I didn't know he was that good of a pilot because usually you see him fly in the Orville, but not in an individual, fighter like
it's
that.
nothing that you have to no evasive maneuvers really. But that's also why the fleet kind of got annihilated during the opening salvo of the Kaylon War. They had to turn to their greatest enemy prior to this in order to survive.
Yeah.
But now they've got the ships, they're armored up. I mean, and it's just. You can definitely see the Disney budget influence.
It looks good. Yeah, there was plenty of special effects.
Yeah, it's pretty.
One thing too.
The storyline is dark, and I kind of got emotional a couple of times in the midst of it all. The scene where John is talking about the fork. And about
why he has a fork.
Yeah, why he has a fork in his in his dresser.
Yeah. No, it's good. And
I also like his girlfriend.
Spiky lady. Is that his girlfriend, or is that
the
latest conquest? But she was funny. I was like, yeah, she's covered in spot. I don't remember seeing that race before.
Yeah, I think that's a new species that's been added to the series. But when she's telling you about how suicide is accepted in her in her culture because nobody asked to be created.
Oh, yeah.
And everything, and I'm like going, that is almost more of a robotic response, but at the same time, I can kind of see it from the spiritual angle too.
Yeah, it was very. I mean, they didn't shy away from it. There was none of this.
I'm sorry, guys, but you will have to think about this episode.
Right.
But they're setting up for obviously a longer haul.
Oh,
because the previous shows really kind of left you with. Okay, they got away with it this season. We'll get another season because it's popular. And then you got the next season, and you looked at it and went, well, I hope we get another season. Yeah. And now looking at Hulu, I think we are seeing a little bit of that effect where it's kind of like we need the better storyline. We need something we can get some teeth into.
Yeah. Now, it does seem like, this isn't. I don't know how many episodes. Did they announce how many episodes they're going to do this season?
They have, and I don't know it offhand. I haven't really looked it up, but
they got enough stuff to resolve just out of this one episode.
We know that the Hulu pickup was for one season. We don't know if they're going to be happy enough with the performance to get it for a second or a fourth or fifth season. So I honestly think that McFarlane decided he was going to throw everything to the wall that he wants to get out there now. So these episodes, I think, are going to hit us a lot stronger than what we have had.
Bigger, heavier.
Not all this slow roll stuff. Right. So, but the other thing is, this is just more of a funny curiosity. Brandon and I were talking about this. Bortus is in this episode for like 10 seconds. Yeah. Literally, he says like 3 lines. He goes, I don't even remember what he says. Like
it's like
phasers loaded or torpedoes or whatever.
It's like something is armed or shields are redirected or something.
Because I'm thinking the actor that played him either got COVID or he had to go shoot a movie or something. And like I wouldn't be surprised to learn that the reason he's not in this episode is because he was off doing something. Because it was just interesting. He was noticeably absent in this episode.
Because you've come to love Bortus. So much of that second season dealt with him and his husband and their child. And
well, there's an evolution with that character too, like with their bigotry and the way they were kind of against the females.
And I really hope that they don't feel that they've run the course with that character and that they don't need to focus on him. He is such a major staple in the first 2 seasons, and to see him trying to relegate it, it's like, this had to have been a time issue, a scheduling issue.
That's my guess. Yeah. But one thing that's interesting because I've listened to audiobooks for years, as you guys know. And
Right.
one of the ones that I've
You've gotten me addicted to them.
yeah, I've pretty exhaustively studied the history of Star Trek in terms of how they made the show, how they made all the movies and everything. And one of the operating principles from the first was Gene Roddenberry said, I want the Enterprise to be comfortable. I want you to go, I'd like to hang out in the Enterprise. I want it to be a pleasant environment. And I think the Orville does that almost better than any ship. I can't think of a starship I'd rather hang out on. It just looks...
There isn't one. The Orville looks like the kind of place where, the quarters are designed almost like a luxury cruiser.
Yeah.
And
it still looks like a starship, but it's definitely got a great, comfortable vibe to it. But yeah, Captain Mercer, and I like his what is his ex-wife's name? Even
Kelly.
though you feel like Kelly, they're going to get back together.
Kelly's awesome.
I like their dynamic now. I feel like they found a good place. But she's a cool, she can kick some cadiddle off her if it comes down.
But
to
I'm going to say it's like you really do feel how Ed has grown in this episode.
Yeah.
Of course, it's like he was really kind of just didn't even want to be there in the beginning.
Right.
And now it's this is his family, this is his crew.
Yeah.
And Isaac's funeral is one of those scenes where it's like you feel that even though everybody's on a different page about the whole idea, situation, he brings them pretty much together with his speech. That
speech he gave, because I'm like, okay, how does he thread the needle? Most of the crew hates this android. Why even do a funeral? There's a few that like him, and then, you saw how empty the auditorium. It was about half full. Yeah. And I was thinking that speech was perfect. It was just the way it was phrased and the way he delivered it, and it could speak to everybody.
He also has a line that he gives to Charlie, and it is, what is it? You don't have a monopoly on grief.
Right. We all lost people in that.
Good line.
I love that. And she said, you're going to have to get over this. But he didn't scream at her.
No.
He's real. I think I like the captain that he's developing into, because that was the one thing that bugged me, because I expect my starship captains to be bold and take charge and all that, and he finally has kind of evolved into that.
Well, his character has if you took all the major Starfleet captains that we've grown to love over the years of Trek.
Yeah.
He has elements of all of them.
Yeah, because when he was talking to her, he was like, okay, that's Picard.
Yeah.
That's the rational, look, we have to do this. And then when he had to, he went Kirk.
When he gives her the order, I don't feel that was Kirk. That was Sisko.
Okay, Sisko, because he's in the middle of a war situation, and he's the cold. Yeah. I think you're right, man.
That was very Sisko.
Yeah. And then the young kind of eager explorer is from Enterprise. Why am I forgetting his name? Who's the Enterprise captain?
Archer.
Captain Archer. So
right. Yeah.
Actually, maybe he's not Picard.
No.
I don't know.
Well, no, he's not in modern day
maybe
Picard.
the speech at the funeral is Picard.
Yeah.
So.
Because Picard is the ultimate diplomat.
Yeah.
He always was.
Yeah.
Well, you also got to consider that Seth has now had how many years with this project?
Well,
that's true.
Because
honestly,
the first shot around was kind of hey, let's go do this.
That's not even a thing. I mean, honestly, he's been wanting to work on a Trek project for 15 years.
Yeah, I mean, this is not new news.
It's clearly a passion project. We recommend it. Get out there if you haven't seen the Orville. Go check out all the episodes, start to finish. And
I just want to go ahead and give our listeners a really quick update. I know it dropped, and I've watched it all, but we were not going to talk about Stranger Things Season 4 until after the final 2 episodes air on July 1st.
Okay, so we'll get back to that then.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, hey, guys, we're here at the Memphis Italian Festival, number 31, but it's time to get out of here. We can finally go get some of that homemade ravioli.
Ooh.
So, anyway, until next week, we are the Geek Patrol, and I am Joe Thorderson.
I'm Allan Gilbreth.
And I am Brandon Olmstead telling you, please come out and see us and then roll yourself home.